Look, this is crazy. Man, don't y'all smoke that shit. He just ride. Look. Man, this is crazy, man. I'm telling you. Just fighting in traffic, bruh. Look. He needs somebody to spar with. I go spar with this. Look, this is crazy. He tired now.
The first reviews and reactions for it, the review embargo lifted for it, or the reaction embargo and lifted for it. And I hunted, Rob. I hunted to try to find a negative one. Not one. Not one negative one.
Hi, my name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from Nerdrotic. Oh, wow, I messed up my own name. Damn, that would have been so good if I'd gotten that right. Well, I just got back from the Rings of Power, and spoilers, I will be one of the negative ones. Now, admittedly, I have my bias, but I was at one point willing to give this show a chance until I found out what actually happened in the series. So pretty much knew it was going to end up this way. I just didn't know how bad the execution would be. And woo, it is bad. It is CW bad. And as I said in my review on Twitter, my very quick one, that's not an over exaggeration at all. So welcome everyone to The Rings of Power is an absolute disaster and a total perversion of Tolkien. As a matter of fact, if we just remove all the lore, if we just forget this is Tolkien, a lot of people will say, well, if it's not Lord of the Rings or Tolkien, it was just a generic fantasy series, that wouldn't be that bad. No, it would be. If you removed every bit of it, it's still bad. And the reason it's bad is your titular character, Galadriel, the Girlbarian, is awful. Objectively awful, unlikable, insufferable. She is everything we thought she would be and more. And more. I will get into spoilers later, but do you care? Do you really care? So I had to drive to Waco, which is 3 hours away, because they did not have a screening in Austin or San Antonio, the general area where I live. Kind of weird that it's not in Austin. San Antonio, fine. Kind of weird that it's not in Austin. Whatever. I had no problem driving to Waco. The Cinemark there is the nicest theater I've ever been in. It is 2 months old, and it is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Paid for by our tax dollars, by the way. So give yourself a round of applause. That big theater bailout. That was you and me. At least it went into a business. Thankfully, I didn't pay a single penny to Amazon to watch this. It was a free screening. It was a free screening. It was full. It was full. And you could hear a pin drop throughout the entire screening. There was one sympathy clap, and I don't mean applause, a single clap at the end. It was and I think the person's like, wait, nobody else is clapping. I feel like I should clap just to feel sorry for it. I don't know. When it comes down to motion pictures, television, entertainment, everything lives and dies. I'm going to state the obvious here. Do that a lot on YouTube with writing. Whether you gender or race swap a character, sometimes it can work. If the actor's really good, you buy into the role, there's fantastic writing, you just, you go fine. You go fine. This guy's pretty good, or this girl's pretty good. When we saw all the perversions and subversions of Tolkien's lore in the beginning, those were just red flags for what the story would be and what kind of messages there would be. And I can tell you one thing, Tolkien's messages were nowhere to be found. Absolutely nowhere to be found. Did the lore get shattered? Yes, absolutely. This is a made up story because they cannot adapt the Silmarillion, which there isn't much of second age stuff in there anyway. And they can't adapt any of the other books. They can't adapt anything other than the appendices, which is appendices, just descriptions, no dialogue, none of that beautiful Tolkien language. And no, two hacks who worked partially on a horrifically bad Star Trek movie cannot emulate Tolkien. I know this might come as a surprise to some people. I know some people said this was cinematic and sweeping. I thought it looked like dog shit. I thought there was some stuff that looked good. There were things that were fine, but you're like grasping as you're watching it because most of the story centers around original characters, as we thought. I could sit here and spin in my chair and knock down half my action figures saying, fuck you, I was right. But that's Razorfist. That belongs to him. So I'm going to let him keep it, and I'll probably put it in my review or every single one. I don't know. But we were right. It's not I was right. We were right. You have been vindicated, Tolkien fandom. The Shills have arrived at their reckoning, and they're all going to be eating a lot of fucking crow over the next week. It is an abomination. It is a catastrophe, as Entertainment Weekly said. Apologies to my mods for not letting you know I was streaming. I doubt any of them are up. I don't know if any of you, what are you guys doing up so late? Oh, it should be public. Oh, wait, that's my bad. There we go. They'll catch up on it later. I didn't hit save. That's what happens when I do my own stuff, but it will be, the crowd will come in. Or maybe not. It's kind of late. They can watch from the beginning. They missed my excellent clip, but I'll play it again later. I don't want to pick on John Campea. John Campea can do what he wants. He can say what he wants. He can like what he wants. But before we get into, and like I saw this in a theater, and we weren't allowed to bring in our phones. I couldn't write any notes. So this is going to be stream of consciousness, kind of like all my other live streams. I definitely need to see it again. And I missed the first 2 minutes because they made us put our phones in our car. So I don't know if Galadriel got bullied in the beginning. I don't know. Chris Gore might have caught it, and he can let me know if that scene actually made it in. Every other scene that was described to me was there. Everything down to the minute detail. And there is some ridiculous shit that happened in this. Like just your eyes rolled to the back of your head and fell out your ears. Oh my God. But first let's talk about shills. Okay. Shills are out for themselves, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to get that dollar. I understand that. And you don't have to play it as, you can play it however you like, but the shills have really come hard at us for a lot of years. And usually we don't mention them. I don't mention them by name, unless they go after the fans, which they have been doing for years as well. But it's time to start talking about the damage they have done to fandom. Shills are just as responsible as the corporate media. The corporate media is run by dumb bankers who don't watch this shit. Who guides them? Well, the middle management, activists, and activist shills who pretend to be out for you, but you are just a means to their ends to get their little cup warmers and 480p screeners. And do they like everything? I think some might. Most don't. My God, Grace Randolph came out and called Galadriel a Karen and a Mary Sue, and she's right. She's absolutely right. But the damage they've done to fandom is come up with terms like toxic fandom and their continual sucking up to the corporations and emphasizing, gaslighting, dividing all of the fans. This shit wasn't around before. Now, the access media has always hated the fans. That's something I found out when I ran the comic store. Always hated the fans. And that's why I've kind of always not liked them. But they were, they were fine in the beginning, when it was just a couple of kids starting a website because they like comic books. But then they all got sold to venture capitalists and corporations. And all of a sudden, it's all owned by one company. And that's why you're seeing a lot of the same thing coming across. A lot of very similar positive reviews that were just essentially reactions. Oh, it was cinematic. It was a broad and sweeping adventure. No, it was a lot of different things happening at once. They're trying to world build in a world that's already built by building their own world within it. And I shit you not, it's Tolkien mystery box. Did you expect anything else from Disciples of Bad Reboot? Of course you didn't. They learned at the feet of Jar Jar Abrams, right next to Alex Kurtzman and Damon Lindelof. So it should be no surprise that there's a mystery, and it's obvious who it is. The first 2 episodes pretty much focus on where is Sauron? Who is Sauron? And that big 9-minute prologue where even I was expecting they'd go a little epic with it, show us some stuff from the First Age, maybe some battles. You get everything you saw in the trailer was pretty much everything that epilogue encompassed. Like that shot where it's all red and you see the elves either floating in water and like that's the same clip that they showed. There's nothing before it or after it. It's just that clip. And then it's Galadriel stacking some helmets. Now, again, I didn't see the first 2 minutes, so it was little kid elves. But yes, they showed 2 episodes. They were about, it felt short, hour long, 45 minutes long. Not really sure. Didn't have my phone with me. And when stuff isn't just horrifically bad, it's boring. It's really boring, but they really turn up the intersectional feminism. This is Intersectional Feminism, the TV show. That's all this thing exists for. You have a female Frodo, and the wizard is Gandalf. There's no way it can't be Gandalf. There's one little scene in the beginning that pretty much gives it away. I don't know if they can call him Gandalf. Maybe they can just have, because he doesn't speak the entire season, or that's what, the entire season, but he doesn't speak in these first 2 episodes either. Yes, Queen. Yeah, there's a ton of yes, Queen. Thank you for becoming a member. Paul Turner. And right. Oh, I'm going to mess up your name. So I'm just going to say Rai. Sorry. I'm bad. Dine Morris or Dina Morris. The Argonaut for $5. God bless you. Driving to Waco and back. Then doing a live stream on top of that. Oh, dude, I love what I do. This is fun. I'm having a good time. I got to hang out with Garrett, and a couple of members of the fellowship showed up. You want to know how rad Texas is? They wouldn't let us bring in our phones, but one of the guys, they let him bring in his gun. I just love Texas. 2 hours in, and it's boring, uninspired. I missed that one. So this is from Scott McKenzie for $9.99. 2 hours in, and it's boring, uninspired, modernized storytelling. No good character to follow. Unintentionally funny moments. Yeah, there were definitely. I really felt bad, and thank you. I really felt bad for there was a nice elderly couple sitting next to me, and I was laughing my ass off, and I'm trying to cover my mouth, and I'm like, there was so many like head slap moments, and I'm ripping my glasses off, and Garrett's laughing at me. And Garrett, there's one point in the story where Garrett like leans over and goes, "This is written by somebody who just graduated from high school and got a C in creative writing." It's like, yes. Oh, woo. Is Az here? Well, I can send you a link, buddy. You can come on in. And again, I have no notes. I'm going to go off of memory, and I just got off a 3-hour drive where I was listening to some really evil metal for pretty much the whole time. So, excuse me. All right. There's enough people here. So, we'll get going. Again, this is a complete perversion of Tolkien. And as I said just a few minutes ago, but it was unlisted, I will say it again. If you remove everything Tolkien, if you remove the lore, if you just judge this by as an individual TV show, it's still abysmally awful. And Morfydd Clark's Galadriel is the absolute worst thing in it, which is a bit of a problem because she's your main character. And it's She-Hulk all over again. It's a beloved character that they've completely destroyed, turned into a dude. She's on a quest for vengeance. I'm going to wait. Until I get no spoilers. But let's just say Gil-galad acts like a moron. Elrond is a feminine. I guess he's Robert Armayo is not Elrond. It's just not happening. Celebrimbor is like a soap opera actor. Our Hadad activist, I forgot her name now. Bronwyn. She gets a kill. She gets a bloody kill. Her son Theo sounds like he's going through puberty, so he sounds like Peter Brady. Arondir or Don Lemonlos is competent, but like you can't. I'm sorry, you can't help but notice his like really fresh haircut. But he's not the only one. There's a lot of people with really fresh haircuts in this. Some dye, a little blow dry. I mean, they must have some really good salons in Middle Earth. They mention Morgoth, but they don't really show him. You get to see a silhouette of Sauron with the proper helmet. But that's it. But as you may or may not know, Galadriel starts the Second Age going to Lindon with Celeborn. And that doesn't happen here. Now, I thought when they were going across all the ice and climbing the cliff that was the flight of the Noldor. And after the kinslaying, but it's not. So after the events of the First Age, one of Galadriel's brothers dies at the hands of Sauron, and he's marked just so we don't know. And this mark is supposed to be a mystery, but the mark is of Mordor. Okay, the mark is of Mordor. Just look in the map. That's what it is. And she takes up his quest. So when she's running across the ice, that looks like climbing the wall in Game of Thrones. She's on orders from Gil-galad as the commander of the northern armies to go look for Sauron. Now, she was only supposed to go for a certain amount of time. She, of course, disobeys orders. And her men quit on her. So we saw the CSI scene, where they find the mark inside an abandoned castle. And I didn't catch all the names of the castles and some of the lands. I'm going to have to go back up when they air it again. I'll watch all that. So none of the flight of the Noldor, no mention of the kinslaying, none of that, no multiple brothers, just one brother. And I don't know how far in the Second Age we are when she's on this quest for vengeance to find and eradicate Sauron on orders from Gil-galad as the commander of the northern armies. And then all of her men quit on her. So all the men quit. They've gone too far. They want to go home. They're done. Even though they find this mark, and they fought a snow troll that you saw, and she's got some badass moves, and she's swinging around her sword, and she stabs it in the mouth, and then she takes her dagger and like stabs it in the head. She's all twisted, fucking bone, like her fucking chest is out like this. She's all fuck yeah. Then all the prissy little men quit because they want to go home, and she goes on without them. And then they end up going to Linden, where Gil-galad is, and instead of that's where Elrond meets Galadriel, and he's the herald of Gil-galad, and he explains to her that Gil-galad is showing mercy and not going to punish her, and he's going to reward her for her work, but she needs to go now. She needs to be done. Put up your sword. Everybody's telling her to put up her sword. And she's like, well, Sauron might be out there. No, he's not. Everything's fine. The wars are over. The wars are over. And on top of all that, and she's like tortured. You know, she feels like she's holding her pain, and she's a bitch to everybody. Like Elrond at one point goes, I'm doing this because I'm your friend. I'm like, they don't sound friendly at all. It reminds me of Twilight. I'm watching Twilight because I had to watch Twilight with my wife. And I'm like, why does anybody like this bitch? She's terrible, but everybody's like fawning all over. And I didn't realize that was the start of like the fan fiction intrusion of art in film. And because of the success of Twilight, we are all dealing with this shit now. Thanks fucking Twilight. Wait, I got a clip for that. I got a clip for Twilight.
You flick too hard, damn it!
That's what happened. That's what happened. All right, so Gil-galad is like in denial. So what his logic was, by the way, he sends as a reward, he sends Galadriel and her army who quit on her to Valinor. And which no, it did not happen. And they get on a little ship, and they have their armor on, and they stand on the ship with their sword, and I like that's how they stand. They stand the whole time as the ship is about to go into Valinor, and then it opens up like a giant bright vagina in the sundering seas. And Galadriel, who's tortured and a warrior, cannot go with them. So what does she do? She jumps off the boat in the middle of the ocean and just starts swimming. And like, I'm not even describing it well. She is in the middle of the ocean, nowhere near any land, and she is just doing backstrokes and just off for a night. She's not really doing backstrokes, but she's like doing a really just casual swim, hoping, it's only what, 300, 400 miles, 200 miles. I don't know. If it's anything over 20, it's a long way, even for an elf. But yeah, she just goes off on a swim, and the ship goes into Valinor, the Undying Lands. Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous. Oh, and we'll get to the original characters. But we're going to stick on Galadriel's story right now. So Galadriel then randomly comes across a raft. This is in the second episode. Again, they just put them all together. She randomly, is that in the second episode? Maybe it's in the first. So while she's swimming, there's a raft full of people. The worm just attacked their ship. This is where we have Halbrand. Dude, where's my Morgoth? And some other people who all just die immediately because when the worm comes at him again, one of the women on the boat says that you brought the worm to us. They elf, and she pushes her off. And then the worm kills everybody except for Halbrand, who somehow the raft is still intact, even though we saw it get destroyed by the worm, and he's rowing it and he helps her. And then Galadriel's immediately a complete bitch to him. He's he's like a dipshit. So it doesn't matter. It's some of the worst dialogue I have heard since Star Trek Discovery. It's very Star Trek Discovery. I don't want to use the word vibe. I am getting the same. It feels like it's of the same template, which it is. Bad reboot, Disciples. So he's being coy because obviously it's a mystery who he is. We're not supposed to guess. And he said his village was destroyed by orcs. She's like, I'm hunting orcs. I'm hunting Sauron. I will avenge everybody you lived with. And he's all, if you want to go kill orcs to make yourself feel better, that's fine. But I'm on a different mission, lady. And it's not the only time Galadriel gets chewed out for her quest for vengeance and blood. How many orc heads are going to fill that hole? So, it's, I'm paraphrasing, but they say shit like that. And it's just like, oh, God. Oh, God. And there's this big, long scene of them in the water. And Galadriel falls again with a rope tied, and Halbrand dives down and saves her. And yeah, that's pretty much her entire fucking journey. And then they get saved by Numenorians at the end. In the meantime, Gil-galad's logic for getting rid of Galadriel was, and I'm going to paraphrase again, that the darkness she is seeking, or her seeking the darkness might actually bring it out. So it's better to get rid of her. And then maybe the darkness, being Sauron, won't come out if somebody's not hunting him. Gil-galad. High King Gil-galad. That's his fucking logic. Elrond goes to Khazad-dûm to meet Prince Durin IV. And apparently they're old friends. And we also meet Disa. He has a proposal because Gil-galad sends him to Celebrimbor because they're going to create, if you've heard this all before, this is all the stuff we've described on live streams. The biggest forge ever made so they can make something uber powerful. What it is, I don't know. Maybe Cimmerals, something like that. Celebrimbor is overshadowed by his kin who created the Cimmerals. And he is sent. So Celebrimbor goes with Elrond to Khazad-dûm, to Moria. They get to a door. We'll just say maybe it's not the same door. He doesn't recognize it. He's all, wow, this place is awesome. Celebrimbor saying this, by the way. Wow, this place is cool. And Elrond's like, yeah, my old buddy lives here. So they let him in. They won't let him in at first. And then he invokes, dude, I don't even know what they called it, but it's where the dwarves and Elrond have to break stone until one gets tired, right? And then they leave Celebrimbor out the door. So they show on the map how far Alegion is from fucking Khazad-dûm, and and Elrond says, give me a few days to work my magic, basically. And what is Celebrimbor just going to stand outside Khazad-dûm for 4 or 5 days in his little fuzzy robe? I don't fucking know, because we don't fucking see him again. So we get to meet Prince Durin IV and Disa. Prince Durin IV, I believe, was mentioned in a family lineage, and Disa is a reworked name from the Legendarium. And Disa is she doesn't have a beard that I could see. She's not the worst thing in it. She's not like terrible. She just plays the happy wife. And she's in it for like 3 or 4 minutes and it's done. We don't even find out what Elrond wants to propose to Prince Durin. But I suspect it's Mithril, because the funniest part, Garrett brought this up, is there is a mystery box. There's a mystery box that the dwarves open, and the dwarves look decent. They look decent. I wouldn't go so far as King Durin look good. I don't know about Prince Durin, but they open a box and it's a mystery what's in the box. So we started a little laughing about that, because there's literally a mystery box in the mystery box show. It's Mithril, by the way. It's Mithril. So whatever they're going to build with this giant forge, they're going to use Mithril at first. This is obviously going to lead to the forging of the Rings of Power that we will not see this season. So in the Rings of Power show, the first time you're going to see the Rings of Power is let's do some math with that X-ray girl here. 2024. 2024. But I doubt you're going to care. If this thing takes 2 years, it wouldn't matter if it takes 1 year. 1 year. People are not going to stick with the show. It is, again, bad, and the good parts are slow. So Elrond is not Elrond. I don't know who this show is for, what it's for. So we have Arondir, our Sylvan elf, or Don Lemelis, and he is part of an outpost overseeing a made-up town that's not from the Legendarium, filled with people from the south. With Bronwyn and her son, and who are perfectly clean, and then a bunch of dirty white people who are mean and nasty and don't believe her. And she's the town healer. Arondir is obviously in love with her. But since Gil-galad has announced that the wars are all over because he's just going to go into denial for some reason, the outpost is being shut down and Arondir has to leave, but he doesn't. And he follows Bronwyn on a hunt for a mystery, which is orcs. Orcs are digging in the ground, under the ground. They've already destroyed one town. And this is where we get our big action scene with Theo. And I know there was a lot of theories about whose sword he found. It's probably Sauron's. It's marked with Sauron's. And he stole it out of some barn. They give you no context for this at all. He just steals it. It's there. Then the orcs show up. They there had been mice under the floor, like, clicking away under there. So we think it's the mice and the rats at first, but it's actually an orc who attacks Bronwyn and Theo, and Bronwyn slays the orc and decapitates it and brings the head in. Cause at first, she's like, hey, these orcs are coming. You got to go. And it's like, nobody's believing her. So she comes in the bar and fucking slaps the fucking head down. She's like, we're doing this. Female empowerment. Arondir when they went to the other town they saw burned down, they saw a hole in the ground. And they talked about this in one of the reviews I read today, and the person was absolutely right. It was cringe. There's a hole in the ground. We can clearly see it. And they go, look, it's a hole in the ground. I'm going to go down it. You don't know where it goes. That's exactly why I need to go. And then he gets caught by orcs. So he's going to get chained. So we get that chain scene. Then we get to our little Harfoots, who aren't hobbits. We have female Frodo and female Sam. And they're dirty. And we also have Sadoc Burrows, played by Sir Lenny Henry. And yeah, like it's frolicky Harfoot, not Hobbit stuff, and they're just a lot dirtier. And they hide. So there's a scene where a couple of hunters walk by, and they're like all hiding in the bushes, and they got, hobbits in the trees, man. No. And I mean, it's just nothing. I can't say it's like it's bad. The scenes happened. They have no impact because the dialogue is terrible. I don't care about any of these characters. There's a point where you all saw where a meteor flies over, and that's the wizard. Yastari. He doesn't say a word. But when he first meets Nori Brandyfoot, I'm just going to call her female Frodo. He gets up and he's screaming, and all of a sudden, all the trees start bending, and it gets dark. And what does that remind you of? Bilbo Baggins! I'm not trying to rob you. I'm trying to help you. It's the same vibe. So that's Gandalf. It's Gandalf. So we're just going to call him Gandalf, not Gandalf. Which just shows there is no depth of creative bankruptcy for these hacks. I think outside of the worst thing happening was all the men quitting on Galadriel, where I just laughed, is any dialogue between her and Halbrand. It is forced and awful, and I can't wait to share clips with you. I just can't wait. Oh my God, they're so awesome. Az, what are you doing? You want to come on? I'm sorry. I'm sure you answered. Thanks, Mahler. Sorry if you were streaming. I didn't mean to stream against you. I know I'm probably streaming against Nick Rekieta yelling at some pedo or something, as he should. Hail Nick Rekieta. All right, we got $1.99 from Kimberly Calcroft. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate it. $20. We got 2%, 2% right for $20. Says off topic. Going to try and prime the pump again. Any chance you'll show FNT the Wizards with Guns Brown sober video? I sent emails to X-Ray Girl and your address and have gotten confirmation someone has read it. Yes. It's either my wife or X-Ray Girl or me. I'm not really sure. But yeah, like all videos that are sent have to be watched before we watch them on FNT. So I'll take a look. We can't just watch videos cold. I did one today. I didn't regret it, but it edged to the line of, but like, hey, sometimes that's good. It's a 0 out of 10. One guy's like, it wasn't that bad. And I'm like, yeah, it was. But I mean, it's okay. You can have your opinion. I'm not going to hate you for having a different opinion. Absolutely watch Peter Jackson's. I watched Fellowship on Monday in theaters. Okay, so let's, before we get it, I'm sorry, this is all over the place, but I'm trying to remember stuff. But we can talk about the quality of the CGI. So inside Khazad-dûm, there were scenes that looked okay, that looked good. I would say if there was a best of this, it would be anything with the dwarves. He only had like one line, but King Durin is played by the same guy who played Delos in Westworld. Guy's a great actor, and he makes a great dwarf. He really does. His voice is like, Disa's accent is pretty bad. The accents of the Harfoots are pretty bad. Oh, and Garrett and I noticed something. Nori Brandyfoot is quarter black Harfoot. She is quarter black Harfoot. Yes, she is. She was talking to this woman, and she's like, "Okay, mom," and we're like, "Really? Stepmom, maybe?" Okay, whatever. Um, but overall, there was in the beginning where you expected they would dump all the money in this. Like, did you hear the Shills talking about this awesome, epic prologue that I know I missed the first couple minutes, but I saw the last 7, and awesome and epic are 2 words that I would not use in description. There is one part where Galadriel says, and then we went to war, right? And it shows all the ships on the Sundering Sea. And it looked like a video game from 2011. And I know this is meant for the TV, but if you're going to put it on the big screen and it doesn't look better, and in 2022, it doesn't look better than Fellowship of the Ring that was filmed in the mid 90s, mid to late 90s, and still look better on the big screen than this, you got a bit of a problem, especially when you spent $458 million an episode. They have, like, Amazon has a massive disaster on their hands. I mean, the only thing you could say is, okay, we break the lore, we disrespect Tolkien, but at least it's like a compelling show. I mean, House of the Dragon, which should be compared to this quite a bit. I mean, Slow at Times is a compelling show. This is not even compelling. I mentioned to Garrett that if I was watching this at home, I could pause, go take a leak, get something to drink, have a little snack. When the cringe gets too much, it was just nonstop cringe for the first episode. Thank God they showed the credits and gave us a little break, and we could all like run to the bathroom. And the guy doing security outside said, "Was the first episode that urine inducing?" And I'm all, "Yeah, it actually was." And then after we got out, the nice kid who took our tickets said, "How was it?" He's all excited. I'm all, "It was terrible." He's all, "No." I'm all, "Yeah. Yeah." And again, nobody made a sound. Nobody made a sound. And I've been to a lot of previews, especially at the comic store. I'd get the previews to all the superhero movies, and usually it's pretty enthusiastic crowd that are seeing something for free and, whatever. I remember like the crowd being enthusiastic for Punisher, for both Punisher movies, for Punisher and Punisher Warzone, which are freaking Citizen Kane compared to the shit we're getting right now, to be honest with you. I don't hate New Zealand. I love New Zealand. I'm sorry they left New Zealand. They left New Zealand, but quite frankly, your country turned like uber totalitarian. Do we know who the white man, woman, robed elf is? It is a I'll answer that in just a second. Thank you for the $2. We don't know. It's like a zealot nun that's following the wizard. And in turn following the Harfoots. As I did not make that scene. I missed the first 2 minutes. I don't know if I was unlisted, but I missed the first 2 minutes because they made us return our phones. They said you have to put your phone in your car. So I had to run out and put my phone in my car. So I'll ask Chris Gore. Hang on. First 2 minutes. So yeah, I think Chris Gore's live stream right now. So we're talking. It's like Inception, man. But yeah, the Slim Shady or Slim Lady, feminine. That's a girl, by the way, is some kind of zealot nun. But I know Chris Gore likes She-Hulk, and he's not backing down. And it's not Tolkien. No, it is most definitely not Tolkien. I think the takeaway here is Amazon knew they had this giant disaster. This was directed by J.A. Boyena, who did one of the bad Jurassic Park films. And as for a film director, this felt like a TV show. It felt like a TV show. And Bear McCreary is usually a pretty damn good composer. Battlestar Galactica, anybody? Does an awful job. It doesn't sound anything like Lord of the Rings. I know Howard Shore composed the theme. Could not tell. The orchestra sounds thin. Our list of allies grows thin. The orchestra sounds thin. It sounds generic. The fantasy looks generic. Again, Gil-galad is kind of an incompetent boob. Elrond is slightly less incompetent. Celebrimbor kind of looks like a dittering doofus. Galadriel's men were weak and complaining and falling down the ice going, oh, I thought that was a girl. Sorry, girls. No woman or man should sound like that. It was terrible. It was terrible. Halbrand, there's a scene. This is the one where I laughed. Halbrand and Galadriel are on like their 6th day, just floating around in the raft. Oh, okay. They're floating around the raft, and Halbrand looks down in the water and puts his hand in the water, and his hair's hanging down. And he goes, Chew. And I almost pissed myself. I can't wait till you see this. I'm like, why was that scene in there? And he just like, no, Brad. Totally not going to be a bad guy in this. So I mentioned the scene where Galadriel falls off the raft, and she's got because they're in a storm, and she's got a rope wrapped around her, and Halbrand dives in after her, and she's completely unconscious, right? But when he pulls her up, she's like, I'm cool. And the raft is just right there. And like, there's a storm, but the raft didn't move. Didn't pull Galadriel. And somehow she's wearing this gown, right? And there ain't nothing under it. It stays down. I don't know how it managed to do that. Oh, gross scene. Gross alert. There is an absolute disgusting gross alert. In the beginning, in the prologue, there's very young Galadriel, played by a little girl, a child, a 10, 11, 12-year-old child. And I hope to God she was wearing a bodysuit under her very loose-fitting white gown that they definitely made sure you could see through in a couple of scenes. And I'm like, I don't avert my eyes for shit in a movie. And I'm like, nope. In the very beginning, they do show the two trees, and it didn't look that good. And yeah, we didn't get to see Morgoth at all. I thought we'd get like, am I gonna at least get a shot of Morgoth? The silhouette of Sauron looked okay, but it was gone in minutes. The orcs. Okay, so the action scene between Bronwyn and the orc was all shaky cam. Couldn't see a fucking thing. I could barely see what the orc looked like. I could barely see the action. It was just all shaky cam. So this is as basic bitch as it gets. I mean, they were guilty of doing that in House of the Dragon too. And it's definitely to cover up the lack of fight choreography. Probably the fact that our Bronwyn probably didn't practice at all. I don't know. Thank you, Nordic Man. Oh my God, there's an umlaut in there. Dimias for joining up. Sorry, my European friends. I'm going to jack up your name. I have a jacked up European name too, though. Weirdo Monkey Guy for $10 off sub. But does anyone know that the actress who plays She-Hulk also played a racist who orders 2 white male friends to unalive an Arabian man in the Stir of Echoes Homecoming? I didn't know that. I know she was in Orphan Black. Tatiana Maslany. So we got our new member there. Okay, yes, as we got it. According to Chris Gore, I asked, tell me, did Galadriel get bullied? Missed first 2 minutes. Yes, she did. They threw rocks at her paper ship. Yep. We got to bully Galadriel. In that beginning scene, it shows her older brother kind of guiding her, telling her, hey, I might not be around to show you around and everything, and foreshadowing his death. The conversations between Galadriel and Elrond are the worst part, because it's just Elrond. It reminded me, and like, I like Buffy, but every season of Buffy would recognize that there was some kind of evil coming, and none of the Scoobies would believe her at first. They go, "Oh, you're overreacting, Buffy. About the 3rd or 4th season, you might want to start believing her." But it's the same thing. It's like, I've been hunting Sauron, I found this mark, and everybody's like, nah, it's fine. And then, like, the true warrior that she is, we get that you have not seen. Oh my God, that was the scene where they insinuated that Elrond hadn't seen anything up to then. You have not seen the battle I have seen. You have not seen what I had seen. And then she thought she would die with her brother, because they were at these memorials, basically, where they carved her brother in a tree, and everybody who was fallen is their likeness is carved in a tree. And she thought she would be there in the end, dying a warrior's death, going to Valhalla. I hate the fact that I got to watch this again. Thank you, Chris Gore. As I'm sending you, like, you're up, I'm going to send you an invite since you're just in my chat. Where are you? Oh my God. Is Shad up? Who's awake? Are any of my mods awake? What are your thoughts on the Embracer merger? I don't know yet. Embracer bought the rights from the Saul Zaentz company. I don't know what to think. I think it's mainly for mobile games. Here's the rights issue as far as I know it. So Amazon can only adapt the appendices. They cannot touch anything from The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings. Warner Brothers still believes that, and I think they're right, have distribution rights to The Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit, not so sure. That was MGM and Warner Brothers, and since Amazon bought MGM, there might be an issue there. So there is a possibility we could get a remake of The Hobbit, but I don't think because of Embracer, I think at the very least that protects all of us from getting a remake by Amazon of Lord of the Rings. I could be wrong though, but it sounds like it's for video games. And I guess it's good news, bad news. We've hit the 20-year rule. And if you adapted Tolkien, like in the spirit of Tolkien, I know our critics are like, Peter Jackson's wasn't exactly to the lore. Yeah, I know. And if you watch my videos, you would say, I'm not that big of a stickler. I'm fine with Tom Bombadil not being in there. I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with Arwen. I'm fine with all of it because it was in the spirit of Tolkien. They put Tolkien's messages in there. It was a very satisfying experience and the greatest trilogy ever made. What I'm not fine with is deliberately bending the lore so two characters will meet and fight together that never met or fought together. That's the important part. Galadriel is talking about duty, her duty. This show is duty. Galadriel wanders around. She wants a place to rule. She wants to be a leader, but not a ruler, not a commander. She is not military. But you notice it's the same thing they did to Princess Leia. They made her General Leia. And now it's Commander Galadriel. It's the dudification of female characters. And she was, in my opinion, much more powerful in Peter Jackson and in The Hobbit. She was portrayed more powerful, more imposing. You know, the way your mom is, like, even when you like grow up, your little 5'1" mom could scare the shit out of you. That's Galadriel. Okay. Geek Course will return. Comics Gate for life, boy. There you go. Eric July. Hail Eric July. And Razor Fist. They're both swimming in tons of money. Oh my goodness. Joseph Bacher, thank you for the $100. Jeez. Thank you. I sent you a link, guys. You don't have to come in. It's fine. David Tyson for 10 Australian dollars. How's the Hobbits looking compared to this? The Hobbit, Citizen Kane. Somebody sent me the Hobbit cut. I can't wait to watch this. I'm fine. The Hobbit is bloated. It's totally bloated, but it does have some good stuff. The love triangle is shit. I hate it. I hate what it does to Legolas. Hot take: How to Train Your Dragon is a better trilogy than Star Wars. I don't know. I like the first movie. I wouldn't say it's I mean, if you think so, that's fine. That's fine. The greatest trilogy of all is Lord of the Rings. That's better than Star Wars. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is better than the first Star Wars movie. But that's just me. They're all good, though. They're all good. How to Train Your Dragon was surprisingly good for you got to realize I have kids and they were young during that time where everything was Pixar, DreamWorks, and I saw every single one of those movies and I just couldn't. If I never see one again for the rest of my life, I'm fine. I'm good. And I worked on Mars Needs Moms. I needed therapy after that. Rings of Power is super good. I loved it. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Give me just a moment here. It is 2:00 in the morning. So the plan is for me, I am going to start my review. It'll probably be out Friday or Saturday. I got a House of the Dragon review that's done. That'll probably come out tomorrow. I like the second episode. All right. There's some problems with it, and I'll get into it. Here we go. Oh my Lord. Okay, here we go. You guys are crazy. 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser for $5 says, get yourself a Red Bull or coffee for surviving this fan fiction. I already downed a Red Bull. It's the green edition. I'm not sponsored. If I down 2, I ain't sleeping tonight. But thank you, Nick. Love you, man. Renato Mento for 10 Australian dollars. Imagine how bad rings must be that even the paid shills have deserted it. Also, buy White Frank today. Buy White Frank today. Some shills have deserted it. Some shills. Here, let's play that clip again that I played at the starting, shall we? I hate to pick up. I don't hate to pick up my poor boy.
The first reviews and reactions for it, the review embargo lifted for it, or the reaction embargo and lifted for it. And I hunted, Rob. I hunted to try to find a negative one. Not one. Not one negative one.
Hello. I'm the negative one. And so are many others. I can't wait. Tomorrow's going to be a good day on YouTube. It's going to be a good day on YouTube. Now, we don't want these things to be bad. That's the whole point. We love Tolkien. We love Marvel Comics. We love Star Wars. We love Doctor Who. We love Star Trek. I didn't just buy all this shit like before I started YouTube, the day before I started YouTubing. I mean, this is like leftover stuff from my store. I've loved this stuff my entire life. I would love nothing more than to be reviewing a good Lord of the Rings show. There would be more people here. It would be better for my channel. I'd get better ad money, and I'd be fucking happier. I'm not happy about this. But this isn't the last straw, but it might be for all of fandom. Time will tell. Because Tolkien has been the strongest fandom out of all of them, without a doubt. You have shown your quality. And hopefully other fandoms can learn from that. I mean, the Doctor Who fandom just kind of left. They're done. Star Trek fandom kind of left. They're done. Star Wars fandom, fractured. And they want Star Wars to be good so bad that they're willing to give Disney like 1,000 chances. I'm not. It's dead to me. It's dead to me, and I don't even care. This is a completely different circumstance because you have a company, a giant company that came in and lied to everybody. And I think everybody was initially pretty excited. When I first heard, I was excited. But then I started seeing who came on board. Lindsay Weber. Amazon, you want to fix this problem right now? Right now? Call the first season a wash. Just call it a wash. Just like, we're going to pretend that didn't happen. And I'd take these 2 years and I'd hire people who know what the fuck they're doing. And I would remove with a scalpel every person who has a credit that's connected to Bad Reboot. And I mean every single one. I don't care if the janitor worked at Bad Reboot for a day, do not hire him. If the caterer comes in with mystery box cupcakes, send him out the door. Beg Peter Jackson to come and supervise. Beg Tom Shippey. Get on your Bezos. I want you on your knees to Tom Shippey, apologizing to that man. What you did to him, unforgivable. And that was once that happened, once the late great Christopher Tolkien passed, reminder, didn't like any of the Peter Jackson stuff. And Tom Shippey was fired. That's when those red flags started coming up. And the showrunners, hey, everybody needs their first chance, right? Well, J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, this was your first chance, and you done blew it. You fucked up because you bent over for the corporation and people like Lindsay Weber. So she has got to be the first to go. By the way, Miguel Sapochnik off of House of the Dragon. I'm going to say that's a plus. I'll get into that in other videos. I'm going to say that's a plus. But strange. Very strange. Got to get rid of Lindsay Weber. J.D. Payne, Patrick McKay, pack it up. Get out. Supposedly, some of the writers who worked on this were from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and some Westworld people, which does explain a lot, but also some Star Trek Discovery people. And wow, does that show? That shows. So your main character, I mean, okay, let's compare Galadriel to Aragorn, who's kind of a dick to Frodo when he first meets him in the Fellowship of the Ring. You know, he's in there smoking. Are you frightened? Not nearly frightened enough. He's being kind of a dick. But then Sam comes in with, like, I'll take you, Longshanks. And he goes, you have a stout heart, Hobbit. She's the sword. It's like, oh, this guy, okay, he's not so bad. You immediately know. Gives the Hobbit a little compliment for showing his bravery. You know, charm, likability. It's not here with Galadriel. People are asking her questions. She's just going, no, I'm on a mission. I want blood. My brother. What about your husband? What about the husband you're supposed to have at this point? And maybe I missed it. Doesn't say what year we are in the Second Age. And in case if you missed it, no, Galadriel does not go to Lindon with her husband. We don't see the flight of the Noldor. It's actually Galadriel's on a mission from Gil-galad to hunt down Sauron, but she's only supposed to look so far, but she apparently disobeys that order, and then her men revolt and quit on her. They lay down their swords. You know, the one guy's like, just constantly like, are you sure? I think we want to go home. I think we've gone far enough. I think, and she's like, I assure you, nobody misses home more than I do. We continue on. And then he goes, no, you will without us. And all the men drop their penises and walk away. Yeah, the symbolism, I didn't even catch it all. But there is so much intersectional feminism in this. This puts Captain Marvel to shame. To fucking shame. Black Widow to shame. I thought this would be the level of Star Trek Discovery, and I was not disappointed. Or I was, but I wasn't. And if any of you decide to see this, I'd love to hear from you on this one, because I would, I say CW bad, but quite frankly, the first couple of seasons of Arrow were good. First season of Flash was pretty good. This was not. This was poorly written, almost from the very beginning that I caught. And Galadriel did get bullied. Oh boy. Late Art, how are you for 249 Czechoslovakian pesos? Sorry that you had to suffer through. I'm buying the books to counteract it. Please do. Please go support a small bookstore. Go buy some Tolkien books from the mom and pop. Give them a few bucks. I'm sure they would appreciate it. And that way, you're in a very small way, you're extending your middle finger to Amazon, and you're reading a good story. And I think that's the one good thing that's come out of all of this, is like a lot of people are curious and they're picking up the books, and that is wonderful. And I have to point this out again. I pointed it out earlier. Warner Brothers released Fellowship of the Ring Monday, Two Towers Tuesday, and today Return of the King. Well played. And then when you're done watching House of the Dragon, what's like your third or fourth suggestion? Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. Fucking Warner Brothers knows exactly what they're doing. In this case, in this case, I'm looking for a picture. Sorry. I was thinking middle finger. Oh, I could just find it on Twitter. Hang on. Apparently I don't have the rights to this picture, and apparently I don't give a shit. So just a moment. There we go. I think it's a good time to bring this up. Yeah, make sure those messages are down, baby. There we go. That's what the professor has to say to the Rings of Power. Actually, he'd probably go, but you know what I'm saying. Ray 2.0 Yeet Edition for $2 says, gotta know any good smut at least. No. Yeah, Galadriel's like wet a lot, and you don't see anything. And I'm a guy, so I'm going to naturally look, yeah. I mean, Morphic Clark she's cute, but not after seeing this. Ladies, I apologize. I'm just going to be a dude for a moment. Actually, I'm not sorry, but I got to say it. There is, and the same goes, I'm sure the same goes for guys to women, but a 10 can go down to a 1 real quick in just a few short sentences. Okay. Know what I'm saying? And that's the case here. She is just brash. She's full of piss and vinegar. Remember, that's what the showrunner said, and they weren't lying, but it's not piss and vinegar. It's brash. It's annoying. It's insufferable and insolent. Fucking when you're speaking to the herald of the king and he's telling her like, hey, yeah, you disobeyed orders and your men didn't bail you bailed them. And she's Skyrim 96 for $5. Hot take. I read that one. How's the Hobbits looking now compared to this? I read that one. Joseph Baker, thank you. Joseph Bacher, thank you again for the $100. Thank you. Andrew Odette says, Business Insider, Prime will claim success no matter what. Yes, they're going to have to. They have no choice. They have too much invested. And, well, how has that worked out for Star Trek, Doctor Who, and Star Wars? To not admit failure and attack fans instead of going, maybe we should rethink that. And it looked like a couple of times Disney Star Wars was getting it with The Mandalorian, which I don't think is great by any stretch of the imagination, but it did look like that they were trying at least. House of the Dragon kind of looks like they're trying to make up for stuff. Sonic is probably the best example right now, to be honest with you, but no, they're going to show they're going to deny the critics exist. Here's the big problem with this one. As big as the number was for Star Wars, after Rise of Skywalker, what fractured the fandom was The Mandalorian. People just went right back. Even after they fired Gina Carano. Now, when they fired Gina Carano, the only reason I was even checking in was because of her. That's it. Because I had already packed it up. Don't care. You killed Luke. You kill Han. You're not bringing them back. Fuck you. It's dead to me. And it's ruined a lot of it for me. But a lot of people went back, which is their prerogative. Star Trek just it got old and faded away. That's what's happening right now. So it wasn't a clean break. It's just people have they're not even mad anymore. They're just done. I'll watch my old Star Trek and it's just dead. And there's no hope it's going to come back. So it's pretty dire. It's pretty black pill with Star Trek. Doctor Who had a little moment with RTD coming back, but then he opened his mouth and that killed it. So the same thing is going to happen with Doctor Who and Star Trek. It's just going to black pill people and they're going to be done. They'll go, I'll just watch the classic stuff and it's over and it sucks, but that's the way it is. Each fight, it has little differences, but as I've always said, it's bigger than Tolkien. It's bigger than Star Wars. It's bigger than Marvel Comics. It's bigger than the MCU. The MCU is going through the Star Wars phase right now. That's the other big one. It's our culture. It's our culture. And it's not, our critics will always say right-wing fascist, whatever the fuck they want to say. I don't believe, no, I know none of you are like that. I've been around fandom my entire life, and a lot of us disagreed politically, and we never knew it because we were too busy arguing over DC and Marvel or Star Wars and Star Trek. And then enjoying the shit out of our day at a con or something and not really giving a shit about those differences. Now that the shill media and the corporations have hyper focused on those differences because they want to separate us, and it's permeated through all of our culture. And now more people are starting to recognize this thanks to the Rings of Power. We might be able to save the culture, not the franchises. That's all I could say. I guess the good thing. Oh, just made me think of something else. So one of the tropes of modernism, of modern repurposing, is a girl did it first. It's not the history you know because the girl did it first. Mikey Spock, Michael Burnham with Star Trek. They made it a prequel, so she was there before the Enterprise in a more advanced ship. She did more advanced things, so they can say, actually, a girl did it first. Captain Marvel, they turned it into a prequel in the 90s, so they could say, actually, a girl did it first. Doctor Who, they retconned the entire origin. So instead of William Hartnell being the first Doctor, a little black girl who gets pushed off a cliff, doesn't speak a line of dialogue. A girl did it first. Well, here we have Gandalf, not Gandalf, with Nori Brandyfoot, female Frodo. And her connection to him is why in this show Gandalf will like hobbits instead of the real reason Gandalf likes hobbits, which is he just sees something in all of them, a strength, a simple goodness, simple deeds. That's what keeps the darkness at bay, not mighty ones, small, simple acts of kindness, being happy, being jolly, all the things Tolkien liked. Sitting down, smoking a pipe, drinking some beer, shooting the shit with his friends. The stuff we all like, except for the beer. But no, now she is going to be the inspiration for Frodo, for Bilbo, for Gandalf liking hobbits. A girl did it first. This is like the 17th time this has fucking happened. And I promise you that they think they're the first ones who thought of this shit. See, when Hollywood got in the fandom, they had no idea what they were getting into. They had no idea that they're dealing with fans who actually watch every minute of everything and remember it and care about it. So we get asshole interlopers coming in wanting to subvert and change everything. What do you care? Well, please don't judge me by your very low Hollywood interpersonal standards. Mr. and Mrs. Hollywood, your favorite line is, I'll be whatever you need me to be. Yeah, Hollywood has seen its day. It's peaked. This should have been the peak, but it wasn't. There's too many creatives. They've watered down the actual talent. They've ran off a lot of the actual talent. Meritocracy doesn't count, and that's just not going to work for art that needs to sell things and make money. And Amazon could go out and announce all the success in the world. This could actually be popular with amongst people. It could have a 99% on fucking Rotten Tomatoes. I don't give a shit. I don't care. It sucks. It objectively fucking sucks. If any contrarian wants to come in and debate, like, okay, I would debate on the merits of just the episode. We don't have to get into the lore at all. It sucks. Nina for $4.99 was too young to see it in theater when it came out, and I just saw Return of the King in IMAX. Oh, that's awesome. And it was packed. Cheers. Looks so perfect on screen. Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. If anybody did get that on video, share it on Twitter. I want to hear the cheers for Return of the King 19 years later. We did a 20th anniversary stream, a great one with RMB and Critical Drinker and Mahler. Az was supposed to be there. Totally flaked out. No, it's fine. I love him. We're going to do one for Two Towers in December on the 20th anniversary of its release date. We will absolutely do one for the Two Towers, which is my favorite of the three. Florian Frew says, so overall, would you give the Rings of Power 1 ring out of 10 for €5? Pretty much, yeah. I'm looking for, hang on. Oh, I got to go over here now to the donations. I hear somebody. I'm looking over because it must be my older son who's awake right now. There we go. They moved it. What? Oh, it's got to load. Here we go. The 30 Parader for $2 says on the donation side says, thank you for all the wonderful bedtime content. Can't wait to see you and the boys tear this apart. Yeah, Friday Night Tights. We're going to talk about it. We're definitely going to talk about it. And I'll have my notes with me, and they'll be after the episode airs so I can actually take notes. Because I have Swiss cheese brain. Lots of drugs in the 80s. Byron for $50 on the donation side. Thank you very much. Says, off topic, just watched Maverick. Why didn't I hear that it was an homage to Star Wars? Canyon run to the thermal exhaust port. Don't think, just do it. Use the Force, Luke. The old mentor knew the kid's father and was responsible for his death. Hey, it's a tried and true story. Why not pay homage? And Maverick is the runaway hit of the year. Runaway hit of the year. Good movie. Damn good movie. I liked it. Can't wait to buy it on 4K Blu-ray. Always love your streams. Would you recommend hate watching? Ask Lyra for $5. That's I mean, if you have a channel that's a hobby, it doesn't have to be a job. If it's just a hobby or any kind of social media presence, or you just want it, sure. I mean, it's pretty roastable. The memes are going to be, they're going to be so good. So good. This thing is memeable. So Halbrand reaching into the water and flipping his hair back was just the worst. It was terrible. But I think some of the shills are going to be memeable too. So if you have Amazon Prime already, I would recommend watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy extended cuts. I would watch that instead, or read the books. I am very partial. If you haven't done this and you have Audible, it is Amazon, but listen to the BBC radio series with the late, great Ian Holm. It's fantastic. It's a good thing to fall asleep to. It's fully dramatized cast. It was recorded in 1981, and it's one of the best recorded audio dramas I've ever heard. Yeah. That's what I would recommend. Nemesis. Are those Harfoots hiding from scary hunters, possibly like hobbits hiding from scary black riders? So original. It wasn't that bad, but there are a lot of similarities in character and events. So like Arondir is absolutely supposed to be Legolas. Like absolutely. Don Lemonless. Oh, Halbrand is supposed to be like an anti-Aragorn, but he's also somebody else, which is going to screw up the story later because Annatar, the Lord of Gifts, is going to show up to Eregion and seduce the Elven Smiths of Eregion, and I'm afraid to even see that, and Celebrimbor, and convince them to make the Rings of Power. And Galadriel is like, this dude is sus. Then. So how is she going to know this dude is sus when she's on a fucking raft with them and going in the battle with them and doesn't suss it out then at all. When like everybody, like after you see the first and second episode, you're going to know. You're going to know. You're just going to know that it's Sauron. And since you already know that, and because you're intelligent, you would figure it out by the end of, at the latest, the second episode, then what's the big mystery for 6 more fucking episodes? Who's the bad guy? Well, there's another bad guy. There is another bad guy who's leading the orcs. We've mentioned it on streams before. So have you accepted that Sauron is going to be Arwen's grandfather yet? Not quite yet. Berserk shirt bearer for $2. I refuse. No. Here's my guess with Celeborn. Here's my guess with Celeborn. He is prisoner. He is prisoner somewhere. That's just something that hit my head on the drive home today. So yeah, Galadriel is on this big mission of vengeance for losing a loved one, and did not bring up her husband once in 2 episodes. Maybe Celeborn cheated on her. I don't know. Oh, I don't want to give these fuckers idea. RB, thank you for the $5. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Oh my God. There's 7,900 of you watching at 229. Well done. Well done. This reminds me of my Star Wars review. Oh, God. So the Harfoots are just there to mirror Frodo and Sam. We have a wizard. We have a Legolas. We have an anti-Aragorn. We have Galadriel. We have a really effeminate Elrond. Prince Durin the Fourth, I would say, was probably the best. Disa was more cringe on the press tour than she was in the show, but it still sticks out like a sore thumb. Don Lemonless's haircut is fresh as hell, especially when you see it in daylight. We saw a lot of, it was dark in the trailers, but there's like where he's walking around in daylight. That is a fresh ass fade. Bronwyn, their whole love thing is just boring. It's boring and written by an 8th grader. Yeah, we got to see one orc. You couldn't even see the orc. He had like a cow skull for a helmet. He or she, can't assume here. By the way, women, do you feel seen? If you see a degradation of life, the defiling of life in female form, do you feel empowered? Do you feel seen? I hope so. I really do. I really do. Dathricus Rex for $4.99. For the sake of your sobriety, I don't think you should watch anymore for this tripe. I am not in danger of relapsing. If I thought I was, but thank you. I appreciate that. I will go to a meeting. I will definitely go to a meeting. For show. Gotta know. Oh, I read that one already. And let's give it a refresher. I can't wait to see Critical Drinkers review on this. We're going to cover it on, of course, Friday Night Tights and the Real BBC. I'm going to cover it a lot, but I'm going to do a detailed video. Garrett's waiting in the wings. Actually, I think the House of the Dragon video is going to be the first one that's edited by both Garrett and Perry. So that should be something special. Dritz Forgotten Realms, the only dark elf I know of. LOTR, get the fuck out, says Salty Aussie for $5 Australian. Hail. Newman for $27.99 Canadian. I work overnight, so even though it's my day off, I'm still up at weird hours. Thanks for the late night stream. I appreciate it, man. Oh, you're welcome. I remembered when I worked at Technicolor down in Hollyweird, and I worked the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift 4 days a week. So the other 3 days I was off, I was up all night. And it was horrible. I was super unhealthy. I wasn't working out at regular times. There was a Del Taco across the street that was like the only place that was open. Oof, yeah. The Grizzly for $10. Are they going to explain who Melkor is, or why he's leading orcs, or is it just going to be shoved to the side? I'm not watching the show since it's not even going to be close to Tolkien or Jackson. It's not. This is just flat out not Tolkien. So for the shills who told you it was, they were lying. It's not Tolkien if you just use some fucking names. It's not. Tolkien is not the names of his characters and places. It's the language. It's the feel. It's the message. A message written by a devout Catholic. One that you cannot ignore, but they did. Because Hollywood hates religion, hates Catholicism. Oh, they pretend to love Muslim. They hate you too. That's all bullshit. They hate religion. And I know I'm this crazy guy. I'm not super religious. I'm not religious at all. But I think people should be allowed to be religious. And I think there can be religious stories. I think there can also be degenerate stories. I think that all the stories can exist and we can just pay attention to what we want. But when we start saying certain things and certain people can exist, that goes against everything we used to be. Everything. It's not okay to do it to anybody. No, they don't explain. They talk about Morgoth, but they don't explain Melkor as Morgoth, but he gets renamed. Right? They don't get into that part at all. No, it's just Morgoth, and they don't show him. They bring him up a couple times. Celebrimbor talks about Morgoth holding the Cimmerals and being enchanted by him. And then being proud of that. And being proud of that. The Cimmerals brought death and destruction. And he's proud of the fact that it even enthralled the Dark One for a little while. It's like, yeah, that he killed a bunch of people with a fucking dragon. But all right. You did see a couple of dragons for a minute. And I remember, I can't remember which shill was out there saying that the dragons in the prequel would put the dragons from House of the Dragon to shame. No. Pick your average video game with dragons. I don't know what any are, but you can name it. It will look better than this did. It wasn't like horrifically bad, but they didn't look like real dragons. I'm not saying House of the Dragon is perfect, but they're pretty good. They're pretty damn good. I got to ask in the review, please. Please call out lack of exposition or any time we get cheesy CW one-liners that the writers probably thought were dynamic or poetic. Kaylee for $20. I can't remember word for word, but you've seen a lot of them in the trailer. You have not seen what I have seen. Put up your sword. Without it, what would I be? But there is way more to that conversation that makes it 1,000 times worse. She essentially insinuates Elrond's a pussy who hasn't seen anything. And that is just bullshit at that point, except not in the show. In the show, he's just a green little lad. The first line that is spoken to him is a woman telling him he's not allowed at the Lord's meeting. Only lords. I feel we are obligated to watch series so that when everyone gets upset enough to make a change. The Lone Slav for $5. Yeah, I mean, that's the way I feel. It's my personal rule. If I'm going to cover something, I'm usually going to lean towards something I know. Right? So I'm not going to do a bunch of videos on like the Johnny Depp trial. That umbrella guy is where you go for the Johnny Depp trial. The guy's been on it for years. It's not my thing, but I absolutely enjoyed his content and Ricada. Lord of the Rings, I know pretty well. I would never consider myself an expert or a professor on anything. I would never say that. I think that's so cringe to self-label. I told this story before, but I'd be at the comic store and like kids would come in and just fucking school me on shit. And it's fine. I learn more. So I think if I'm going to cover something, I'm going to watch it. End of story. Even if it's an article, I will watch it. That's why I didn't watch Cowboy Bebop. That's why, I stopped watching Batwoman because I just didn't want to watch them anymore. But I'm going to watch every episode. Yep. And I think that's the way we stay informed. We also learn. We learn from this trash. I mean, it's bad and it's fun to mock. For one, it's hilarious to mock and there's great memes. But you also learn like what intersectional storytelling is. And this is a fucking study in it. Did I see the Tim Pool music video? Thoughts? Grizzly, I have not seen it. I'll watch it though. Is it what kind of music is it? Like if it's poppy, I don't like poppy music. I like really evil music or soundtracks. Holy saw fans at Holy saw fans dollar. Holly didn't understand fans. Oh, Holly saw fans as money. Oh, Hollywood saw fans as money. Hollywood doesn't understand fans, says Thundercats. Ho for £2 You're right. They just saw us as an ATM machine that will just buy up anything because they don't respect fandom and they think fandom is the same as the general audience. We're not. They're finding that out now. They're finding that out that we're special and they resent us even more. Call me Chato did a great video on this. And I mean, it's something I've talked about for years. They've never fucking liked us. They're just pretending to right now, but they never liked us. That's why we were, when I was young, I never thought I'd see Silver Surfer on screen. I never thought I'd see Spider-Man on screen. I never thought I'd see any of this. And quite frankly, I wish I never have, especially with the MCU stuff. It came at, I love that Thanos meme because it's so appropriate for the MCU. What did it cost you? Everything. I'd rather have the comics. And I'll never forget the day I heard it was I was fucking shocked. I was floored when Disney bought Marvel. I was like, what? And immediately we all said the same thing. The movie's going to be good, but the comics will suffer. And that's exactly what happened. I'd rather you have this money, well, 2/3 of it, rather than the tax man. Thanks, David G, for the 10 Australian dollars. I appreciate that. Tax man's going to get it for me too. Had the pleasure of catching The Two Towers in theaters this week. Best theater experience I've had in years. And it's a movie I've seen 100 times. Bonus. Watched it on edibles and the ents are trippy, says Astro Walker for $10. That's cool. Yeah, unfortunately, I quit all that fun stuff before I watched Lord of the Rings. All the trippy stuff. I did fall off the wagon, but I didn't do any shrooms or edibles or anything like that. Can they use the other name, Olorin? Olorin. I was mentioning that to Garrett. If it's in the appendices, yes. Well, they could use Gandalf. I'm pretty sure if it's in the appendices, but they can't. I think what Tom Shippey said was they can't fundamentally change anything about the character, but him being there fundamentally changes it. They're calling him the Stranger. That's his name right now. I mean, it could be a blue wizard, but it's Gandalf. Like they made the guy kind of look like Ian McKellen, and yeah, his first scene really gives it away. Like I said, he screams and everything turns dark, like when Gandalf uncloaks and gets mad at Bilbo for not giving back the ring. Bilbo Baggins, I'm not trying to rob you. Glad I canceled my Prime. Long live Tolkien. Bethany, bless you, for $2. Jar Jar Abrams is cinematic cancer, says Flag Ninja for $5. Totally agree. T Down Under for 20 Australian dollars. G'day, Gary. Just wondering, when are the Perry intros returning? Love your work, mate. Perry took about a month off. Perry needed a little resty time. Plus, he traveled. They'll be back. I would say in a couple weeks, though, because, I mean, the guys are going to be flat out busy. James McNeil for £5 British. Please stop calling Rings of Power fan fiction. Fans wouldn't change what they love this way. They aren't fans. Some fan fiction does. And, but yeah, I mean, it's corporate fiction. We'll call it corporate fiction. Okay. Fair play. Wolfsbane for $5 Australian dollars. If someone said to you 2 years ago that a Game of Thrones spin-off show would make a Lord of the Rings series look amateurish, would you believe them? Not me. That's for sure. Yeah. If somebody told me 5 years ago that I'd be reviewing television and film and hating most of it, I'd have said you're crazy. I'd have said you're out of your mind. I know, well, with some, I have a bit of a rep, right? But if you talk to people who shopped at my store, I was accused of liking too much. I liked a bunch of shit and still would. But now that I've seen behind the curtain of identity politics and intersectional feminism, you can't unsee it. You just can't. And quite frankly, it's the lowest hanging fruit I could possibly think of. I'd love to sit here and tell you I'm some genius. I'm not. I'm a big fucking dummy. So if I can notice it, I'm guessing everybody else can. And I think most of the time, I know like normies catch a lot of flack. And I don't want them to get conflated with the uninformed person, right? Some people are just fucking busy. They're too busy to pay attention to this stuff. And yeah, I just got a super chat earlier today of a guy just like, hey, I just found your channel. It's awesome. Thank you. I'd say be welcoming to the new people. And if they're figuring it out, just like help them out, like Fandom does. We love new fans. We love sharing shit. But if you come into our fucking house and you all of a sudden, yeah, nice house, but I need to change everything for me. Yeah, go fuck yourself. But if you want to come in and share everything and adapt and, fuck, you'll have a good time. Have a good time. I got to make sure I'm not keeping my kids up. Quarter Black, if you're listening, I got the clip from Mahler. I'll send it to you right when I'm done. That's a surprise. All right, we're going to go all the way to the bottom. I wonder what these movies are going to tear down next. Sooner or later, they'll run out of options. I think they kind of have Phantom Dragon 1475 for $5. Like when you're getting to Robin Hood, like the 50th subversion of Robin Hood. This time it's a black female. And Az had a debate with the director on Instagram. He didn't even tell me he was doing that. I saw it on Tuesday night's main event. Yeah, I think we're reaching the end. We've reached peak woke. It's still going to play out for a couple more years, but we're there. We're there. Batgirl gets canceled. A movie called They Them comes out. And then the Rings of Prime. It's over, Johnny. It's over. Now, is it going to be over for entertainment? I don't know. I think partially, yes. I think we're in a paradigm shift. We're all watching more live forms of entertainment and not scripted. And I think scripted is going to get cut way back on because it's expensive. Heroine of Alexandria for $5. This is fun staying up with you all. Gary, I hope you had a nice trip despite the awful showing you watched. I did, because I listened to some really good music, and I listened to the Silmarillion. So I actually, it was very pleasant. John A. Douglas for $4.99. Reject the mainstream, embrace independent. I do, all day long. All day long. Well, at least we still have Indiana Jones. Matt Sherman for $5. Yeah, because there's only 3 Indiana Jones films. There's only 1 Matrix film. There's only 1 Predator film. There's only 2 Alien films. You're right. Vegas Sims, thank you for the super sticker for $5. John Cocozo for $10. Have been waiting for this review for years. Poop CW is exactly what it looks like, from the horrible intro to that looks like Dallas from the 80s. Hilarious Grace Randolph called Galadriel a Karen. I know, being called a Karen by a Karen, I don't even know what to make of that. But it was funny. It's not a spoiler if it's already trash. Speak freely, bro. Let us hear it all. We know what to expect. Thank you for the $5. Well, Halbrand is Sauron. The bad guy in the first season is an elf, is a marked elf of some kind. Galadriel and Miriel, who are never supposed to meet, will fight together against orcs. Miriel will be blinded in the Great Cheeto Explosion, which is actually a volcano, which is supposed to remind you of Mount Doom. And I shit you not, it's happening in the first season. And in a way, Galadriel suggests the forging of the Rings of Power. Was that enough for you? There's more. Galadriel does go on a nice long swim. She doesn't go to the Undying Lands. She jumps out of the boat. By the way, she was banished. And then she got permission to come back. And then she decided not to, because she wanted to explore Middle Earth. She was curious. She also wanted to rule her own realm with her husband. Celeborn's no slouch. He's no fucking slouch. And they don't even try with Galadriel is 6'4". She's supposed to be 6'4". She looks 5'2". How did he see the show early? They did a Sky Cloud Drain for $1.99. They did free screenings today all across the country. And the closest one to me was Waco, Texas. And I thought it would be a good idea to get an early jump on the review. Saves me a day. I can work on it all day tomorrow. Thursday's my, not live day. I'm not, the only thing I would do Thursday is like jump on open bar if I was asked. I can't do it today, but I would jump on open bar. Hail, Gary. Thank you for all you've been doing since The Last Jedi. You're welcome. Thanks for supporting me. And if you need help translating French, I'm here for you. Canadian French. Oh, green metal raccoon. That's awesome. I want to talk to Razor. I want to see if it's feasible, because there's rights issues, but I would love to have an army of translators like they do for manga, for French, for bande dessinée, for French comics, because they're fucking awesome. And they're not superhero comics. They're Westerns, they're fantasy, sci-fi. They're like adult comics, like heavy metal hurlant. I would love to see more of, if it's possible. I don't know if there's rights issues, if another distribution company has it and is just holding it up because they're fucking lazy. I don't know, but I'm going to look into it. So that'll be my contribution. I'm not going to make a comic, but I would certainly like to help translate French comics into English. Rings of Girl Power was Don Lemonlos in chains. Not yet, Mike Zilla. That will be in the 3rd episode. But he just got captured by he went into a hole to go see who dug the hole, and then the people who dug the hole caught him. And it was a dumb scene. The beacons are lit. The fandom calls for aid, and Brohan will answer. Cancel your Amazon, and hope is rekindled. Will Dark for $5. That's beautiful. Paul Turner for $10. Her men quit. So right off the bat, There's anti-Tolkien. The Fellowship never quit on each other. The whole point of the book was that bonds between people could conquer any darkness. I hate this. Oh, yeah. And the suggestion from her elf brother in Valinor is sometimes to find the light, you need to touch the darkness. Oh, and there's actual racism. I missed that part. I forgot that part. There's actual racism. So when Arondir goes to the town, he's watching over the town. Like there's a battalion of elves watching this town because they were in league with Morgoth. Like 1,000 or years and years ago. And this is the second or third generation, but they still need to be watched. So when he gets into the bar, he's called you people. I shit you not. He's called you people to the point where I'm like, what do you mean you people? They do it. So they do it as the guise of an oppressor, an elf oppressor, but it was straight up a bunch of white people being racist to a black man in a pub. It couldn't have been more on the nose if they fucking tried. And they brought that into Tolkien. Fuck you, Amazon. When I open Photoshop, it loads a pic of Galadriel. Hooray! Be strong for us, Gary. I will, Brian Barlow. And it looks like fucking Captain Marvel, doesn't it? J1 for $29.32. Any more cringy music in the actual show, like the trailer? Does it come close to the original works by Howard Shore? Not even close. No. And it's Bear McCreary, who is a very capable composer who did Battlestar Galactica. Does a terrible job in this. It's really hollow and average. I bet The Hobbit is a masterpiece compared to this, says Christoph, the Polish guy. You are correct. It will be. You'll find yourself watching The Hobbit after this going, yeah, okay, well, it's better than Rings of Power. Legit question for you. Do you think it will ever be able to rescue joy and entertainment from these demons? Freedom Lover for $4.99. I will try until my dying day. Yes, I think we can. I think if the biggest problem, Freedom Lover, besides the evil corporatism and the evil, selfish, gutless, lacking integrity shills and the access media is fandom wants to enjoy shit so much that they'll just keep going back. And that's something you don't want. You got to be careful with that because that's something you don't want to kill. It does create a lot of drawbacks, but that's what we're fighting for. So it's not easy. I don't have an easy answer for you. I said it earlier, though. I think we save our culture. I don't think we save our beloved franchises. I just don't. Drinker compared it to Tampax's ad. I agree. So I've heard this makes Discovery look like a masterpiece. David Dahl for $4.99. I would say it's as shitty as Discovery. It's as shitty as Discovery. Galadriel even looks like a dude behind you. Yeah. Well, I tried to get a very unflattering picture. This is one of my thumbnails. I haven't done a thumbnail for myself in a long time. So my thing was I tried to get unflattering pictures from the trailer. That's my secret. I did it with Jody and had a jolly old time. Breaking news. Brie Larson will be playing Galadriel. I wouldn't notice the difference. Thanks for the $5. Jobberger. Or is it Jabo Jr.? Ooh, 2% right. I read that one. All right. I'm going to refresh again. We caught up. And we're going to wrap this up. We're going to wrap it up. Oh, my God. Maybe not. There's 8,000 people watching at 2:57 a.m. Y'all crazy. Y'all are crazy. I love you. Rings of New Forzo. Easy now. Well, another fuck up for TV again, says Jonathan Skit. Yep. It's bad. And fuck it. Let's play the clip again. I'm gonna be hard on my boy Campia. Literal vampire pot belly goblins are supposed to be in the show, not writing it. Hey, they might be. All right, let's go. Let's watch the clip.
The first reviews and reactions for it, the review embargo lifted for it, or the reaction embargo and lifted for it. And I hunted, Rob. I hunted to try to find a negative one. Not one. Not one negative one.
Hello there.
You flick too hard, damn it!
It's terrible. Oh, I was watching the OneRing.net trying to reconcile the first episode, and Cliff, I think his name was it Cliff or I don't care. They were having a rough time. They were having a rough time. You could tell. And I think it would be nice to see a couple of the shills turn, go, you know what? That sucked. We'll see. Professor Tolkien is out there on the knob of Amazon. That guy was up in my mentions during Comic-Con. I don't know. I think he was at Comic-Con and something about wanting to talk. I was sick with COVID, so I couldn't go. I'd talk to the dude. I would privately. But I'd also call him full of shit to his face. So he might not want to talk to me. Perversion. Oh, and then there's the fucking Tolkien Society, who unironically tweeted that this show passes the Bechdel test. And I am very, very sad to report that he's right. This thing passes the Bechdel test with flying colors. Most of the men are dumb. They're weak or duplicitous or slightly effeminate. But there's no fucking Chad in the show. I think the closest thing is Don Lemonless. But breaking news, everyone. Most of us watch fantasy to see fantasy. To see dudes in armor, slaying dragons, fucking wizards, magic, hot women running around, magic, fighting monsters. That's why we watch fantasy. Now, when it comes to Tolkien, it's a whole other level, because it's like watching a song. It's like watching a song. It's all in the language. Tolkien is his language. Nobody's ever written like him. Nobody will ever write like him. It's beautiful. And it's just good. Something Hollywood does not understand anymore. Something that's just good. That's why they can't make a Superman movie, because they don't understand what good is anymore. They have taken that highway down the hell to postmodernism, nihilism. And they've been there for so fucking long. They are so fucking jaded. They have no fucking good looks evil to them. Good looks, a little good deed. The sight of children, if they're not like, besides their perversions, they're probably disgusted by them. They probably hate kids. Probably hate puppies too. It's terrible. Heard you mention Celebrimbor. Only heard of him in a video game. Why couldn't they have shown with the rings being made and given to every race? I think that's what this entire show could be about, the forging of the rings. There's a big battle at Region at the end. Now it ends pretty badly, but all these do. Celebrimbor comes to it's a tragic story. So for the story to have impact as a storyteller, you have to like your character. You have to empathize with this man who feels overshadowed by his own kin and feels like he has something to prove when he has nothing to prove. And then it ends in just pure tragedy. And you want to be sad. When it happens to this guy, you're just going to go, what a dipshit. That's not how you're supposed to feel about Celebrimbor. There's supposed to be a lesson there too. Benjamin Tech for $10. All they had to do was what they claim they want. Honor the legacy, embrace the good, deny the evil, treat all equally. Instead, we're getting 50-hour lecture. No thanks. Good for you. Pass it up. Go watch the original, go watch Peter Jackson's or read the books. Florian for €5. Hello, Florian. I wonder how bad is the 99-cent store M&M Sauron is. And will they show him as being bad as a result of Melkor, evil white man, at the end? I think they're... Now, at this point, Sauron, pretty fucking evil. But Sauron still thinks he's doing the right thing for Middle-earth. As evil as it is, Sauron still thinks he's doing the right thing. I think they've already hinted with Halbrand, he's reassessing his life. It's Sauron in human form reassessing his life. But he's just biding his time, I think. But I don't think it'll... I think they just wanted to make the white man evil. They weren't going to do it with anybody else. So they wanted to make it the straight, cis white man. Instead of... I don't know why, because you could certainly get that interpretation from Anatar. Appreciate all the commentary. Saves me from having to watch garbage they keep releasing, says Benjamin Frew for 10 New Zealand pesos. Ah, awesome. I got to go there someday. I definitely want to go to Hobbiton. I do. There are some of us from across the lake. Hello from Croatia. Is this old man Gandalf? Says Nevin. Well, hello in Croatia. Hail Croatia. I'm going to sound like an old man now. It's so fucking cool that I can talk to people around the world on this thing, on this internet thing. It's pretty cool. I got Prime for shipping, canceled it for a month in protest, maybe longer depending. I hope everyone who canceled over this said why. Hopefully this hurts their stock price big. Seeker Erebus for $10. That's not a bad idea. I think there's somebody on Twitter that is asking today a tweet. Correct me if I'm in the chat if I'm wrong. It's Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, or it's Peter Jackson LOTR. Definitely show your support for Jackson today and Tolkien. Brian J, thank you for the $20. I can't even read this name for $5 Australian. Not watching it, not giving Amazon money or an audience, boycotting it. When it comes out, I'll watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Fuck Amazon. Hail to you. Gary is an expert in beardology, says Eric K. Dude, you don't have to be up. Thank you, buddy. J.R. Williams for $4.99. Gary, thoughts on Sith Lord Trudeau criminalizing misuse or failure to use pronouns? Has Canada fallen? It has until you get rid of them. It has until you get... When they start policing language like that, you are on a bad road. Even though the show looked subpar, I was holding onto small silver line of hope. And that's the thing that Seth, you're a fan. And that's, I'm not even going to say forgivable. That's expected from a fan. That I at least get a great dialogue. Thanks for saving me 2 hours of my life. You are welcome, Seth. Thank you. First time watching you. Very entertaining to listen. Keep up the good work. How many seasons will the show last before they pull the plug, you think? Asked Joseph Michael for $6.99. They're committed to 5. So they have to pay 5. They had to pay the Tolkien estate for 5 seasons. But they still have to put production costs in. So I don't know. I would say 3. So what will happen is season 1's going to come out. It's being released weekly. It'll be done in 6 weeks. Then it'll be 2.5 years till season 2. Ask Westworld what a big delay did. Well, sucking and then having a big delay did to their show. Killed it. Westworld, one of the best first seasons I've ever seen. A shit second season. And then they had a 2.5-year delay. And they had a third season come out, and they were barely getting 1 million people watching it. Now it came out, and they can't even get 500,000 people watching it. So imagine how many people are watching Star Trek Discovery. They have committed to content for Star Trek. But what I was hearing is your average Star Trek episode, like Strange New Worlds, was not even being watched by 1 million people. And they put lots of money into that. I don't know how much. Star Trek Discovery was 10 million an episode. 10 million an episode. And they barely cracked 1 million on that. But they continued with it and putting themselves in debt because they used the content and they had investor money. Amazon works a little differently. Yes, they're the biggest company in the world, but they cancel shit all the time. They canceled a very good show called The Tick. Tick was a fantastic show. Great show. And quite frankly, shows like The Terminal List are cheaper than The Rings of Power. Hell, The Terminal List is cheaper than The Boys. And it was watched by more people. Shows like Reacher, cheaper. I think you're going to see more of that. I say 3 seasons, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if it went 5. It's going to make a lot of YouTubers' careers. Watch out for George the Giant Slayer and Disparu and European Lore, Lady Gravemaster. Go get them. Go get them. Also, glad that sweet first print collector's edition of Lord of the Rings and that sick red hardcover jacket rather than those god-awful posters. Grizzly, thank you for $5. I agree. I agree. All right, now I got to wrap it up. I'll probably be doing another live stream tomorrow night. I got to work on the video. I got to go to bed. Because I got to work on the video tomorrow. Let's get some of the donations and then we'll get out of here. Byron, I read that one. Say meep meep. I just said it for $22. Says, since all the Nazgul will receive a ring by the end of the series, which woman is secretly which king? Meep meep. Dude, I'm sorry, I called you a dude. I called that one already. I did. Sorry, called that one. One of the Nazgul, if not 2, will be female. Will be female. I'm just calling it right now. And we're probably going to get the most cringe origin of the Nazgul if they're in it at all. There's no Círdan. There's no Celeborn. And that's just 2 of like 10 characters that should be in this right now. In the first 2 fucking episodes, they did not introduce Elendil or Isildur. That's what this fucking show should be about. They should be the 2 main characters. This should be the War of the Last Alliance. Galadriel should certainly be part of it, but our main characters should be Isildur and Elendil. And because they're white men, they're not. They're going to be sub-characters. And there should be a show on the Forging of the Rings of Power. There should be a show on the Fall of Numenor. And there should be a show on the War of the Last Alliance. That's each show could have been 4 or 5 seasons. But they're putting it all into one. And the timeline is fucked. I don't even know how time passes here. You have the money I used to spend on Disney Plus, says JNX26 for $17.38. Thank you. I do not subscribe to Disney Plus either. Not since they fired Gina. ATBM for $10. Cancel your Amazon sub. Maybe resub at a later date. Don't watch it via Prime sale. I can't say that out loud, but go to Tortuga. Go to Tortuga. Hey, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but and this is I don't have a sponsorship. Just make sure you use a VPN. A VPN's a good idea. Go find your favorite YouTuber Shill in a VPN and use that one. It's a good idea. Brandon for $3. I cried when King Theoden died in battle. Audiobooks all the way. Hell yeah. King Theoden's my like my second favorite character after Gandalf, of course, but Theoden. And he is just so great in the Peter Jackson trilogy. So much depth to the character. You get to know him immediately. God, that is a great characterization. All of Rohan is introduced in like 10 minutes, and you know everybody's name, what they're about. It is a master class in characterization quickly. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. You guys are maniacs, man. We had over 8,000 people watching. We still have 7,800. Yeah, there will be a lot of content for me coming more than usual. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate this. Fuck it. I'll keep it on the channel overnight. We'll see how it does. We'll see how this does. I did this for Rise of Skywalker. It did pretty well. So I'm just going to like leave this one up. I have a House of the Dragon video coming out very, very soon, probably in like 4 hours, 5 hours. And my Rings of Power video will be Friday or Saturday. Of course, please tune in to Friday Night Tights. Our special guests will be Disbrew and Mahler. And we're going to just break this thing down. Everybody's going to watch it. It'll be a good time. We're going full on nerd for you. And thank you all. Thank you to the mods. Thanks to everyone who left a donation and a super chat. Hail to the fellowship. Hail Tolkien fans. You win. No matter what happens, you have won. Like people criticizing fans are people praising Rings of Power are getting ratioed on their videos. You guys are unbelievable. And again, you have been the Canadian truckers in the comment section. You know, protest with bouncy castles. There's no way to fight that. And you're just protesting with humor. And that is absolutely the best, classiest way to troll. And Tolkien fans, if they're anything, they're classy. They're classy. It's very sad that some of our fellow fans have chosen to take the shill route. Hopefully they see the light. They see the light. But ratio is essential, and it's been unbelievable. So you guys have been great, and it's been one of the biggest white pill moments I've had on this channel. And I know I could speak for Jeremy and Az and Chris Gore and even Robert Meyer Burnett. They all noticed like this is a huge white pill moment. This is something special and different, and this is what fandom's all about. This is what we come together to do. And you guys, 10 out of fucking 10. You have been spectacular. So I look forward to seeing your memes, your comments over the next 6 weeks. If anything, let's just make it fun, because this is going to be really easy to pick on. Sorry, it's really bad. Love you guys too. Hail. Have a good night. See you soon. Ciao.